Croeso I Bysgota Cymru. Welcome to Fishing in Wales.
Hello everybody, my name is John Phillips. I'm here with friends Kerry Thomas and Alan Parfitt from Fishing Wales, and we're here to do a fishing test really on the Beacons Reservoir. It's the first day of the season, it's March the 20th, and we're all standing here in the mist and the rain, supposedly enjoying ourselves. We think we might catch one or two fish today. The fish haven't seen a fly for 6 months hopefully, so they might be hungry. And we'll try for a few hours and see what we can do. The reservoir we're fishing today is one of 3 reservoirs which was built in the 1890s, largely to service the ever-growing population and commercial side of Cardiff, which at the time was the biggest coal port in the world. It was owned by the Tafvechen Water Board originally, but taken over and now managed entirely by Welsh Water since the 1970s. The beauty of the reservoir is that this is not a stock reservoir, so all the fish in here are bred principally in the feeder streams. They're all brown trout and vary in size from 4 or 5 ounces, maybe up to 1.5 pounds, with occasional fish of 2 pounds more, or maybe even 3 pounds if you're very lucky.
Cast more to the left, or?
Right, we're fishing now. We've been fishing for about an hour. So far we've had 5 fish. Most of them have been relatively small. I've had the biggest about 1 pound, but sadly it was before the camera started rolling. We've seen a few flies coming off, drifting down on the wind, some chironomids, and most of the fish have been caught on full floaters, probably taking the flies in the top 12 inches of water. So we're quite happy with the way things are going so far. Generally in the early season, most of the flies will hatch in the middle of the day when it's warmer. So we're hopeful we'll get some more fish as time goes on. I'd like really to explain why we've picked this particular spot to fish. There's two reasons. When I was young, everybody told me to fish the deep water at the start of the season. The fish would always be in the deep water. That really is wrong. The shallows will often fish better this time of the year, and the reason is that the sunlight will penetrate the shallow water more quickly than the deeper water. This will have the effect of bringing on the underwater plants and the weeds, and this in turn will promote the insect life on which the trout feed. So although the deep water may look attractive from our point of view, it generally tends to be fairly barren. That's why we're here in the shallows. The other reason is, of course, we've got the incoming stream, which is bringing food into the trout. And the other reason is that the wind is blowing to the shallow end of the lake. So any surface food is being drifted this way by the wind. So that's why we're here. I'd also like to talk about the tackle we're using today, or in particular, the tackle I'm using. This is a 7-weight rod. It's a very, very nice modern carbon rod, which is very nice. It's a fairly heavy rod. Normally in the more pleasant temperatures of May and June, I would fish this with a 5 or a 6-weight rod. But the weather here is so volatile, you can literally have 4 seasons in a day. So I use a 7-weight at the early part of the year because the wind can be so strong and you need a more powerful outfit to cast into the wind. We're very lucky here in Wales. We have an abundance of reservoirs and natural llynns where the trout breed in the spawning streams, as we have here in the Beacons Reservoir, and we're very, very lucky. Now, what we have in here is typical of the type of fly box. I would just, one box only, stick it in my pocket, a variety of flies. We've got the odd weighted lure patterns, which will work when the fish are lying very deep. And then we have a mixture of small, generally imitative patterns. For example, a typical cockabondi fly there. There's quite a range of patterns, even though it's a small box, and I'd be quite happy just to stick that box in my pocket and wander around this reservoir for the day. Okay, we're going to dive back into action. We think we've scared most of the trout in this part of the reservoir, so we'll go and find some new ones to throw a fly to and see if they'll take it. I know. Let's hope he's coming upwind. That looked a nice fish. Right, here we have Alan with a typical Beacons wild brown trout, about 10 or 11 ounces. Now that fish has never seen a pellet, never been inside a tank. It's a purely wild fish. Okay, we've moved out onto the other side of the lake now, and there were quite a few fish rising which we managed to cover. Now, out of all the rises that we covered, we actually had 2 offers and had 2 fish between the 3 of us. But it went flat calm, now it's picked up again, but the rises have actually stopped. We haven't seen a fish rise for quite some time. So we're going to make our way back for another hour on the other side of the res and see if we can get 1 or 2 more fish before we call it a day. Well, here I am again, blank in front of the camera. The only fish I've hooked all morning was before the cameras were switched on. So I'm here on the Beacon still. Now this is a very accessible reservoir for people in the South Wales area. You can't see it in focus at the moment, but the reservoir is adjacent to the A470, the main road from Merthyr Tydfil up to Brecon, and there is parking available with lay-bys absolutely adjacent to the reservoir itself. It couldn't be easier to get tickets. Day tickets are available through the Wyanusk Foundation online, and they cost £14 a day. The alternative, and the cheaper alternative really, is to fish it via the Osprey Fly Fishing Association season ticket. I'm a club member, we rent the water from Welsh Water. Now the charge for Ospreys is £65 a year. With that you get 6 or 7 months of the trout season on this reservoir. You also get year-round fishing on the Taff, the Bullbrook and the Cunnan. There are several miles of the Taff with good quality grayling and excellent trout fishing in the Pontypridd area. Now that is annual fishing, it's 12 months a year, because as the trout go in, the grayling come into season at the end of September. So the grayling come off officially at the end of March, middle of March, 14th to be precise, by which time the trout have come back in on March the 3rd. So you get 12 months fishing for £65, which is brilliant value. The club itself is good as well. So far as I'm aware, we are the only club in Wales to have our own club room. We actually own a disused chapel in South Wales, in Abercynon, and we meet there once a week. It's a great club. We have regular competitions. We tie flies each Wednesday night, so it would be a great place for people to come and learn. Right, I've got 2 very small flies on to match the midges that are hatching and are being taken by these trout. I've got a size 16 black and peacock spider on the only dropper, and I've got a similar, a 14 I think, on the point. The fish has taken the point fly, which at the time of the offer was probably, I don't know, a foot or so down. Now this is a good fish, probably 4 or 5 pound, so I have to be very careful. Bingo. There we are, nice little wild brownie, probably just shy of 3/4 of a pound. What can be better? There you go, wow. That fish may be the biggest of the day by at least half a centimetre. So it's a nice day, sun's come out, what could be better? "40 years ago, an old friend of mine, a fishing friend of mine, who's now fishing that reservoir in the Skye, told me that you could use any fly on upland Welsh reservoirs, providing they're small and black. And just to prove Harry's point, that's the fly I caught my last 2 fish on. This fish took the same fly as the one just now, size 14, black and silver. So there he is, a nice little wild brownie. Nice way to end the day on the Beacons. Been a good day with good friends in lovely countryside and some nice fish. And it's not all about the size.
Discover fishing in Wales